Team Ninja never misses with their action games, and Neo 2 is one of the best Souls-likes ever made. Wolong, released last year, was kind of a step backwards in terms of quality, I feel. So here's hoping they get back on track with this one. I'm expecting great things. You done fucked it up. Rise of the Ronin is a game about meeting a prostitute who lets loose around 100 cats into rural Japan, and your job is to go out and catch every single last one of them. Oh, and there's also this Neo-like samurai game in here, but who cares about that, am I right? Huh? Before I begin sharing the sheer amount of disappointment I have in this abomination of a video game, it's only right that I give credit where credit is due. The combat in this game is actually pretty solid. It's the only reason I even had the patience to finish the goddamn thing. Sure, it's a bit simpler when compared to Neo's combat system, and the counter-spark timing on the majority of weapons is really annoying to figure out. But it at least feels cool when you're cutting dudes' heads off. The character customization is of course the best it's ever been in these games. It's pretty much the one from all along with a few extra features. But hey, I'm just trying to say something nice before tripping the fuse inside me. Bear with me. Let's see. Oh, the story. The only comment I have on the story is that, well, it's executed slightly better than Neo's or Wolong stories. Characters actually have ambitions and thoughts of their own. They actually talk and communicate to one another instead of spouting cryptic nonsense to you every time then leaving. Don't misunderstand me though, every single character is still wholly uninteresting. I want to make it clear that I'm not at all invested in anything the story has to offer. But one final point of praise I have to give is allowing us the freedom to ally ourselves with whomever we so choose. This is brilliant and exactly what I wanted from and was missing from all along. They really gave us a game featuring the romance of the Three Kingdoms and ended the game right when things were about to get interesting. I'm still pissed about that. But as for this game, I just wasn't engaged with anything that was happening enough for this to actually make a difference. Hell, with all the characters being introduced, I could barely keep up. I couldn't tell who's who half the time. Nobody really stands out. I've always said that open worlds are inherently a flawed concept. I've never played an open world game that actually benefited from being described as such, Elden Ring being the sole exception. Rise of the Ronin was released this year in a post-Elden Ring world. With that in mind, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to try a lot harder than this. This game's open world is reminiscent of all the other dumb copy and pasted generic ass lazy open worlds you'd see in a fucking Ubisoft game, filled with meaningless chores that reward you with the bare minimum and a design philosophy that discourages exploration. You know, going against the whole point of making an open world game in the first place. Not to mention the occasional Whenever I hear the term open world being used to describe any game that isn't Elden Ring, I immediately understand, okay, so what you're telling me is that the team behind this game are the laziest people on the face of the planet. Let me quickly summarize the gameplay loop you'll find yourself in this game. You open your map, place a marker on your next destination, which is already labeled, ride your horse straight there, because let's be honest, there's no point to exploring, the game's just gonna show you where all the collectibles are sooner or later anyway, kill some dudes, open your map again, rinse and repeat until the game's over. I seriously don't get this. What's the point of trinkling your content in these large ass maps if you're just going to tell me where your content is every single time? I'm thankful it does in a way though, because I'd be hard pressed to call any of these maps fun to explore. Take these photo missions for example. These, in theory, are a really cool way to get you engaged with exploration and seek out the beautiful scenery that historic Japan has to offer. So, instead of giving us the exact location where we need to stand in order to take these pictures, wouldn't it have been way smarter had they just made a smaller map, given us a picture or a description of what we needed to find, slapped us on the ass and told us, there you go player, go do your thing. That's how you make a game. The voice acting is, well, what you'd expect from the games of this caliber, of course. And yes, I am talking about Ubisoft games, and yes, I am saying that it's incredibly robotic.
Enough! A fine display. Here's a token of my thanks. How you handled my pupil's attacks and threw him off balance was truly impressive.
To be fair though, this is only true for the English dub. I switched to the Japanese dub just to hear what it sounds like, and wow, the difference is like night and day. Needless to say, I never switched it back. The main problem is that in English, everyone speaks with this thick Japanese accent, which I guess is a conscious choice, but it just sounds awful to me, I'm sorry. I couldn't even take my own character seriously with that voice.
I knew it. You're alive.
Fuck all of that though, right? The real meat and potatoes should be the gameplay. Everything else is secondary. So, how does it hold up? On its own, It's decent. Compared to Team Ninja's other games though, and it suddenly feels like I'm playing Digimon World 4 again. I played on the highest difficulty by the way, before some jackass in the comments hits me with the "oh, you didn't play the game the correct way, shut your dumb ass up." This game offers you an appreciable amount of weapons and fighting styles to choose from, and it was really fun to experiment with all of them. Until you realize that this one fighting style with the katana outclasses every single other style in the game because of how easy the parry timing on it is. So you realize that there's no point to ever changing styles again, but otherwise, it's all good. The biggest downgrade from Team Ninja's previous games has got to be the exclusion of yokai, demons, or any kind of monster-like enemies for us to fight. Rise of the Ronin wanted to depict a realistic image of historic Japan, mostly. So, all the supernatural stuff and the huge epic battles we liked in their other games, gone. Now you're just fighting humanoid enemies with the occasional big boys, who I bet suck the milk directly from the cow cities to get that fucking ginormous. No thanks, I'd much rather fight the Statue of Liberty again. That's right, fuck your so-called freedom. By the time I reached the second region of Edo, I was getting real disappointed with this game, especially with the enemy variety, or lack thereof. But then, something strange started happening. I started to judge the game on its own merits. Crazy, right? Believe it or not, I actually started having fun once I turned my brain off and focused on what the game does right instead of what it doesn't. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, and I mean just a second. Sure, the game would have been much better had they included yokais or some kind of unique enemies for us to fight, but I mean, it doesn't have to have them to be a good game, right? Take Wave the Samurai 4 for example. I enjoyed that game even though the combat was absolute dogshit, and every enemy was damn near identical. Why is that though? It's the map design. Look at how small this game's entire map is. Each area is easily identifiable. Each area has its own unique music. Each area has characters that stand out from one another. So the exact opposite of Rise of the Ronin. If you haven't noticed, that's what it all comes back to. Map design. So here's the title drop you've been waiting for. Video game developers, I'm sorry, but open world games need to disappear. Except you. You can stay. Overall, I give this game like a 7 out of 10. Oh, what? Is that too high? Listen, I know I've been shit-talking this game all throughout this video, but that's because these days, a mediocre game angers me more than a straight-up dog shit game. You could get a good laugh out of those ones at least. But the 7 out of 10s are just sad. Like, you look at a game like this and see the vast amounts of potential it has, potential that's never going to see the light of day because the creators settled for the bare minimum. I look at my list of 7 out of 10 games and I just become increasingly sad looking at all of this wasted potential. And why, yes, I did indeed rank every single game I've ever played in my life, thank you for asking. In short, Team Ninja, I'm sorry, but this just ain't it. I doubt I'm ever going to be as excited when seeing your logo before a trailer ever again. So I repeat, you done fucked up.